joining us tonight. Thank you. Can we take a moment to give it up for the Tina Stefanos Band? Thank you. My name is Alicia Love. I'm going to be your co-host, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mark Lee Wright.
All right, thank you. Well, I hope you guys are excited. We have some great guests lined up for you this evening, and we have with me my co-host today, and always, Miss Alicia Love. Have you guys ever heard of Kool and the Gang? His wife, Zakina Bell, was very nice to do a very nice skit for us to kind of talk about what our show topic is today, which is called Bridging the Gap. And it's bridging the generational gap, and she's going to show us a little skit over here, and please sit back and watch.
What are you listening to?
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles.
Ray Charles, you would know Ray Charles.
Oh.
Old school. Old school.
You said this is old school?
Yes.
Listen, this is Kanye West. This is the same song.
Same song.
Yeah.
It's Kanye.
He's a new artist.
A new artist sampling old school music.
Sampling. This
Yes.
is a new song.
No, took Ray Charles's and dubbed it into his song.
Wow.
That's called sampling.
Okay. Well, that's what you do.
She was talking about sampling music, right? Well, in the entertainment industry, we have a lot of different generational gaps where the old generation kind of mixes with the new generation. And what they do is they take some old music and then they put it together and they call that sampling, or just kind of updating something that we heard a long time ago. And she was referring to Kanye West. You guys have heard of Kanye West? I know that some of you guys are older and some of you guys are younger, and so some of you guys may have heard of him, but how many of I'm pretty sure all of you have heard of Ray Charles, right? He is a true legend. What Kanye did was that he took a little bit of the music from Ray Charles, and then he took his version of it and put it all together. And that's how he came up with something that we listen to today. And what the young lady was saying is that she thought it was a new song. And many young people actually think that the music that they hear right now is new. In actuality, it's not new. They're just kind of stealing a little bit from somebody else.
Borrowing.
I call it stealing. I call it stealing. Well, let's have a seat, Miss Love. I don't know if you guys caught on to her last name and my last name. I'm pretty sure you guys are wondering, could that possibly be their last names? Mr. Wright and Mrs. Love, right? How is that possible? Well, actually, no, those are not stage names. I have a really unique way that I got my name. My mom actually is here today. She's actually sitting right here on the front row. And it's always a blessing to have your parents support you. And my mom had a choice to naming. She had two choices. One was Mark Lee Wright, which that's what my name is, or Luke Lee Wright. Could you imagine? Luke Lee, come here, boy. Come here. No, but that was the choice that my mom had from my grandmother. My grandmother said, you either name him Mark Wright or Luke Lee Wright. And I'm so glad that my mom picked Mark Wright, because I think that flows so much better. Now, Miss Alicia Love, how did you end up with that beautiful name?
Well, my father actually wanted to name me April Latier Love. And my mom said, no. And we got Alicia Chanel Love out of it. So I like it better. Thank you, Mom.
So yes, those are our real last names. How unique is that? Mr. Wright and Miss Love.
Miss Love. You have to say it that way too, Miss Love.
Miss Love, that's right. Well, we have a line of guests that are lined up today, and we're going to take a short commercial break, and the band is going to take us out with a short commercial break. Tina, are you ready to do that for me? we were talking about bridging the generational gap. Now, do you guys really know how many generations we actually have divided up? Do anyone have an idea of how many generations we actually have divided up? No, nobody has an idea? Well, we actually have quite a few. We have the lost generation. Do you guys know who the lost generation is? No? Nobody has an idea who the lost generation is? That's actually those who were born from 1883 to 1900s. And then we have the GI generation. Those were born from 1901 to 1924. And actually, my grandmother kind of fits in that generation. She is in her 90s. So she's in that generation. Then we have the silent generation, which was born from the 1925 to 1942. Then we have baby boomers, which most of you guys in here are what? Baby boomers. You guys were born from 1943 to 1960. And then we have generational X, or the 13th generation. And they were born from 1960 to 1981. And lastly, or actually we have two more. We have generational Y, or the millennium generation, which I fit into that generation. They were born from 1982 to 2001. And then lastly, we have the cyber generation, which is from 2002 to 2025. Quite a bit, right? Can you imagine all those different generational things? And it's really unique. Each generation has something that they really focused on. So if you think about your parents, Miss Love, what do you think of during their generational time and some of the things that kind of stand out to you?
Well, my parents are actually in two separate generations, so it depends on which one we're talking about. If we're talking about my dad, he was in the baby boomers. So, yay, baby boomers! When I think about him, he fought in Vietnam War. He went, multiple times. So I think of hard work and family-oriented and things like that.
And what about your mom?
With my mom, she is in the next generation up. So with her, I think she's more career-driven as a woman in that generation.
And you notice that each generation, there's major things that stand out. Music is one of them. Not only music, but fashion and hair. How many hairstyles have people had? I've seen my mom with a lot of different ones. She had the big hair in the 80s, and then it was real big. It was poofy. And then...
Whoa, we talking about poofy hair now? Wait a minute.
And then as time goes on, things keep continually changing. But, our guest today, he's actually been successful in multiple generations. Have you guys ever heard of the Johnson Crew? They sang a lot of songs. They have a lot of songs that are just plain out party music. And actually, he and his brothers were part of the Johnson Crew. And then on top of that, he has what we know as New Edition and also New Kids on the Block. So he has been in multiple generations. And there's a lot of songs that you guys don't even realize that he even wrote. More modern, I'm pretty sure that your kids probably were dancing to it a couple of years ago. Shake that Laffy Taffy. That Laffy Taffy, you guys remember that? Your kids were probably dancing to that. It's a rap song. But Mr. Starr actually wrote that song. Now, he's been successful in many generations. Now, when we bring him out here, we're going to find out what his success is and how he's been able to bridge so many gaps. And it's really, really important that you are able to bridge multiple cultures if you want to have a long life in the entertainment business. Because those who come out and only last for about one song, and then they've already gone. And then you have those who are like Patti LaBelle, Mariah Carey, who have been around for multiple generations. What is the key to success? And we're going to find out that. We'll be right back. Tina, can you take us out? legendary Maurice Starr.
Okay, now, all right.
Well, we are blessed to have with us my friend, Mr. Maurice Starr.
Thank you.
I have had the privilege of knowing him for over 10 years, and it was unique how we met. I was working in recreation at that time, and Mr. Starr had one of his groups with us, with our recreation department. And my boss knew that I was a performer, and she said, "You need to meet Mr. Starr."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." I was a little nervous and a little, bashful at that time. I was a lot younger, and he came over. His personality and his spirit is extremely genuine, and he is as real as you can possibly be. And it's a pleasure to have you here on my show,
Thank
Mr.
you
Starr.
very much. Thank you for having me.
Now, Mr. Starr, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're currently working on.
I just got a call from Ron Isley tonight because I put a lot of people on MTV, BET, whatever they're trying to do. And he wanted to go on 106 in Park, being Ron Isley. So I had to call the fellow that run it all. His name is Stephen Hill, who used to work for me. So I put people on 106 in Park as well. Then I'm doing documentaries. I was doing Michael before he died, Michael Jackson. And also Venus and Serena Dad is one of my partners. The fellow who won the Super Bowl is one of my partners, Ray Lewis. So many of them. So then I got the new group coming out. And I'm always working 10 radio stations. I stay busy, pretty busy.
Now, we were talking about bridging the generational gap today, and you have been successful in bridging multiple generational gaps. What is your method to coming up with successful platinum gold records?
Prayer. Come on, somebody.
I understand that one.
Come on, somebody. A lot of people use a lot of different things, but the one thing I may not say, but I do, and that's prayer. I was on my knees this morning. Absolutely. So I think that has been my secret weapon. I know I got a praying mother, and you know mother, and she just always beat me with the Bible. And so I would have to say, but other than that, my father was a gentleman that in World War II, one of his partners thought he was crazy when he said, "I'm going to have 6 boys, and they're all going to play music, and they're going to build me a house." Of course, I built him over a $10 million house. And so what he did with my mother is when he met her, she wanted to have 6 girls. So she said, "Well, you ain't the right man for me because I told God I want 6 girls." So he said, "No, you're going to have 6 boys." And she had 6 boys. So he went on his journey. This was before I was born. And what he did is he would, as my mother got pregnant, he would play the piano with all of us in her stomach. I've been playing piano so long, I don't remember when I started. I just always knew I could play. Never lost a talent show, never lost. I've always won. And I've worked with from the likes of, Frank Sinatra to Luther Vandross to the people that I worked with. It's just been incredible. And with all the famous people that I work with, New Kids, Stylistic, Spinners, I played all their music on every instrument. So, except for the violins, I would just arrange and direct those because we had a lot of violins on a lot of stuff. But my father had a plan. He was a trumpet player. If you ever see those old movies, like the black guy that stand up and blow him with Duke Ellington, he was with Count Basie. My father played with Count Basie, Ray Charles. So he was one of those black guys that you see stand up and he blow the horn. I had one of those guys. Other people had NBA players. I had a father that was in those old movies. So he had a plan. and he taught us how to play different instruments, and he taught us jazz. I never liked jazz, but I can probably play every jazz song there is, and so it was almost like a dedication to him for me to play jazz. And I play organ like Jimmy Smith and a lot of other people, but it was more of a dedication because I really love my father, who passed on in 2000. That's the toughest day of my life, because he was the man that taught me everything. He was my real hero, was my father.
Wow. That is, I've been blessed to actually witness Mr. Starr play all those instruments. You know, some people say they can do something and they can somewhat kind of handle some of those things, but he actually does it extremely, extremely well. Actually, I don't know if you guys really know many of the different songs that he's actually sung himself on throughout the years.
They probably wouldn't know them. I've just sung on a lot of, me and Luther Vandross, I know who Luther is, Patti LaBelle. We used to have an ensemble in New York City, and we would do commercials. I remember the first day I met Luther. They called me to Debbie McDuffie. She does commercials. She's over the commercials. She said, I want you to come to New York City. And I put an ensemble of people together. The ensemble was Roberta Flack, Luther Vandross, and Patti LaBelle. So I go into the room, and I'm just sitting there. So Luther walks in. Nobody knows who he is. And he gets to the mic. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I'm watching this guy, and I got Kentucky Fried Chicken in my hand. And I swear to God, I dropped my chicken. And I said to Roberta Flack, who I was on tour with at the time, I said, who is this guy? She said, oh, that's just Luther. After you hear him sing, I said, why am I singing lead when we got this guy Luther here? She said, well, Luther is about 10 times more than you. He costs 10 times more. So that was in the 70s. That's when we, I started probably in the late 50s, but I was a young kid. I'm 59 now. I'll be 60 this year coming up. And I started writing in the 50s, in the late 50s as a young guy. By the time in the 60s and 70s, I was writing for famous people like the Stylistics. I was a child prodigy, the Delphonics, the Spinners, the Dramatics, all of those famous groups in the 70s. I wrote for almost all of them as a young kid. So I was a child prodigy. So by the time I became 28, I became a manager. And of course, New Edition, Bobby Brown, that was my first group. But I had a plan. I said, at 19, I'll be rich, and 21, I'll retire. At 19, I was homeless, and 21, I was broke. So I didn't quite figure it out too well.
Now, Mr. Starr, you said that your father had a plan for you and your siblings.
That's
Was
correct.
there a particular point in your life or a certain event that made you certain that, this is what I want to do for my career in music?
That started when I was in my mother's belly. I had no choice. My father, he was around my brother Michael, and you know Michael. And Michael and I have had so many hit records. I mean, Michael produced Bruce Springsteen. We did Hall & Oates. I mean, we did Jake Howe's band, Mick Jagger. So Michael and I were the ones that stayed around my father the longest, and he would say, just stick with me. But he'd keep us playing this jazz. I said, Dad, I don't like jazz. But if you hear me play jazz, you'll say, wow, people hear me play jazz, and they say, that's a born jazz player. But, it was something that my father just taught me. It wasn't necessary unless I had a love and I just didn't know. And my father would take us in the woodshed, really, and he'd work with us. We had horns, and we had all the instruments. And we went, and, this is in the 60s, so it was a little rough time. It was a little rough time. So we performed, and, I got a funny story. We performed, and the gentleman, as he announced the winners, the people who won first place were shocked. And they came to us and said, we should not have won. And they said, something was, they were a white act. We were black.
I have to ask you a question about New Edition.
You got me now.
What was it when you saw New Edition performing at that talent show that in your eyes you just had to have them?
In 1979, 1980, as I told you, when I was 21, I was broke and homeless. So the guy called me up and he says, "Man, I want you to host a talent show." I said, "Talent show?" I said, "Well, what is it?" He says, "Kids." I said, "Oh, no, man. I don't do nothing with kids." I said, "Nah." I said, "No, thank you." He said, "I'll pay you $75. I said, $75? Man, I ain't got a quarter on me. You would pay me $75 to come and host a talent show with kids? I said, "Now, don't change your mind now. I'm on the way down there." So I went there for the $75. I didn't go there to see the kids. And so when I went there, I saw all these little kids in here singing and dancing, and the girls going crazy. I said, wow, if I can put some little kids like this together and put it out there and promote it, this would be huge, since ain't nothing been out since the Jackson 5. So I went on and I created a talent show called the Hollywood Talent Night. And I was looking for a group like New Edition. So I'm doing this talent show, and we're at the end, and this guy walks up to me named Travis Gresham, and he said, "I got a group you're going to work with." I said, "Okay, who's the group?" He let me see him. He said, "They called New Edition." He said, "You're going to," he looked in my eyes, and he said, "You're going to work with this group." And I said, "Okay." And I said, "Put them on the stage." They put them on the stage, and I didn't like them. I said, "Well, no, you're not right about that." I said, "I'm not going to work with them." So he said, "Well, give us just one more try. Let this little kid sing Ralph Tresvant." I said, "Okay." And he sung the song ABC by the Jackson 5. And my eyes just opened up. I said, I can make that kid a star. And they came off the stage and said, "Be at my house." We all lived in the ghetto in Roxbury, Massachusetts. So I say, "Be at my house in the morning." And I went home that night and I wrote the song Candy Girl, which sold about 20 million copies now. I know you all must have heard Candy Girl. And so I went home that night and I wrote that. They get to the house the next morning, and we started working.
Now, for those who are interested in getting into the entertainment world, especially being that you've worked with so many kids, what would be your advice to parents out there that are interested or may have kids that have a little bit of talent? What would you tell them?
Don't get into business. No. It's definitely not an easy business, and I know a lot of people say that. They say, "Well, it's not easy," and they say it, and people say, and you try for it. I think my father kind of set me up for it. He had a vision in the 1940s. I wasn't born until 1953, so he started his vision on the field of Hiroshima and bombs dropping all around, and he's telling these guys, and they said, "Man, you need to stop. We got to try to get out of here alive first. And you talking about having these boys that's going to make all this music." So he had a plan, and what I would tell parents is, you got to go for it. If your kids want to do it, you got to go for it. And I see it all the time. Parents, they take their kids and they go for it, but it's just not easy. It's not easy. And when I say that, I mean that. And I think it's because my father started me so early in the game. By the time I was 12, 13, I was already writing songs for famous people. So it was almost, not saying I'm LeBron James, but it was at the time that I was writing hits as a very young guy.
I don't know if you guys actually know this, but at one time there was many articles that would actually compare you to the legendary boxing promoter Don King. Now, and it's actually been said that you've actually done more promotional events and more larger promotional things than even Mr. Don King himself.
So we hold the pay-per-view record, 40 million viewers, times $40, $1.6 billion for one night. That's $1,600 million. With new kids, of course, we used to use 2 Brinks trucks a day. We averaged $20 million a day. And we'd have a Brinks truck come in before the show, a Brinks trucks after the show, and we had an arrangement with banks in all the major cities across America. And making $20 million a day, you kind of got to get it into the bank. That we can't be walking around because at the end of the week, a good month for us was $380 million a month. And the end of the year, we outdid Oprah and Bill Cosby, $5 billion a year. So
Now, I'm pretty sure that our audience can definitely appreciate the knowledge that they're getting tonight from Mr. Starr.
Mr. Starr is saying that he really didn't want to work with kids. But my
Right.
question is, looking at some of the young stars today and the way that they're acting out, is that partly because of all of the publicity they're getting and they just don't know how to handle it?
Okay, to answer your question, I've never been a guy to drink. I never had a drink in my life, never had a cigarette, never did drugs, never been to jail, never did anything. I always stuck close to my mother, and I take care of her today. And she was like that. She was very strict. I was telling somebody the other day that when I met a guy at the age between 10 and 11, and he was a cool guy. And I used to like cherry pie and ice cream. And this guy convinced me to go to these stores and steal cherry pie and ice cream every day. They would set it outside the store, and we just go get it. And I said, wow, this that easy? Then he took us to a Goodwill box. And he said, oh, man, we can get free clothes out of here. Now, I'm no more than about 10, 11. So we get into the Goodwill box. I'm a guy that never been in trouble. So then the policeman knocks on the box, and he says, come out of here, the police. And I just started crying because I'd never been in trouble before. I'd never been in trouble. And so they took us down to the station, and my mother came down, and my mother was a switch carrier. And if we didn't get a big one, she'd go out there. You made her mad if you didn't bring back a big switch. If she got to go out there and cut it down, you in trouble. So she brought a big one down to the police station. The police officer said to me, I'm sorry I told on you. He said, I ain't never seen nobody get beat like that.
What would you say was that one or two things that kind of kept you relevant through that time period and across those different?
I listened to a lot of other people. Like I wrote the song with a group called D4L called Laffy Taffy, which sold about 15 million copies. And I listened to the young people, and I'll come in. LL Cool J, I did stuff with him. P. Diddy. So it's been an interesting life.
Well, we'd like to thank you again for being our guest here on the Mark Lee Wright Show.
All right.
And we wanted to see if you would stick around until the end of the show with us. We're going to bring out our next guest right after our commercial break. Do you mind sticking around for a few more minutes?
As long as I can play a piano or something.
Oh, you definitely can. We're going to jazz a little bit towards the end.
Okay.
All right.
I got to say I'm pretty good now.
I know you're pretty good.
Okay.
So that'll be fantastic.
I just wanted to say that before I get on there.
And while you playing it towards the end, can you sing a little bit at the same time while you play? Just a little
Since
bit.
you're here
Just a
already.
little bit. All right. We'll be right back. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be bringing out Tina Stefano. We're back from our commercial. We have been privileged to have with us tonight Mr. Maurice Starr. What do you think about that, Alicia?
I'm ecstatic.
You're ecstatic.
I'm ecstatic.
That's it? That's all you're going to say? Just ecstatic?
I'm more than ecstatic.
All right. He definitely gave us some key information about the business. I don't know if you were paying attention or you were listening. If you're a young kid and you're out there and you want to get into the entertainment business, I hope you listen to some of the words that he gave. He's been doing it a lifetime. Some of us want to do it for a lifetime, and we're trying to do it for a lifetime. And the only thing you need to do, I've been blessed as well. I always listen to those who've done it before. Why try to reinvent the wheel? The wheel's already been made. So follow the steps of those who have already been successful. And I promise you, you'll be successful as well. going to be gifted again with none other than who?
Miss Tina Stefanos.
Now, Tina is kind of playing double role today. Tina is, as we heard earlier, is our director of music for the Mark Lee Wright Show, but Tina is also a gifted singer, and she's a songwriter as well. And she wrote a song called A Soldier's Mom. Now, Tina, why did you write A Soldier's Mom?
Well, our son, Ryan, when he was a senior in high school, decided that he wanted to, right after high school, enlist. And this was back in, I think, around '06, when the war was just getting going and Afghanistan was gaining traction. And he decided he wanted to join the Army National Guard. And so right after high school, he went right into basic training, and then he went right into AIT, and then he was going, right to Afghanistan. So we didn't see him from high school graduation for probably almost a year. And I was very conflicted I was very proud of him, of course, and my husband is a vet, my dad's a vet. He heard war stories. Ryan heard war stories, for so long, and he wanted a war story to tell of his own. And he really felt the call to go be a part of something bigger. And I was so proud of him, but yet so conflicted. And because I was scared, so very, scared. So I had a job where I was doing a lot of traveling, and I knew that I had to get my thoughts together. And the best way to do that for me is through music. So I was on a business trip, and I was just thinking about it's coming, he's going to be going soon, and I don't even know where Afghanistan is on a map, and, so if you talk to other songwriters, they'll tell you that when a song comes, you can't stop it. It's just keeps you up, and then all of a sudden it's there. And I actually had to pull over on the side of the road. I was driving, and the words started coming. And I pulled over, and I was writing furiously, and it all made sense. And then I continued on with my business travel, and I didn't even get home for the rest of the week, and I couldn't put it to music until I got home. And it all came together so fast. So I was able to get the song done before his deployment. And I was really grateful for that, because it helped him. It probably helped me more. But Ryan found comfort in it, and I certainly did. And he shared it with other soldiers over there. And so that's why I did it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, another question is, at what age did you get started as a musician as well?
Oh, boy. Well, let's see. I'm 29, so I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. No, golly, I was one of those kids that played piano when I was a kid, was half forced, half wanted to go through piano lessons. And when I realized I could sing, it was probably in high school. I realized I could actually sing. I knew that they knew I had an ear, was in music class, and the teachers would say, geez, you can really tell which notes higher and lower and all that. But when I realized I could sing, it was easier for me to sing than it was, to play piano. So probably right after high school, I got my first job at Shakey's Pizza Parlor. I don't know if anybody remember, never mind. I just said I was 29. You sort of caught me in a lie, didn't you? Oh, well, so a long time.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to be blessed with an opportunity to hear Tina sing A Soldier's Mom. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Tina will be singing A Soldier's Mom. Thank you.
It's almost time to say goodbye, and yet, no matter how I try, I can't imagine you so far away. It's just your job, it's what you do. I hope you know we're proud of you, and I'll just have to take it day by day. Still I wonder where you'll sleep tonight. I wonder if you'll be alright. And I pray our family's love will see us through. I'm a soldier's mom, and I'll be strong for you. You chose this life, you heard the call. In uniform, you look so tall and proud to be an American. Still I wonder if you'll be alright. I wonder if you'll have to fight. But I know that you'll be brave and you'll stay true. I'm a soldier's mom, and I'll be brave for you. Every soldier who has trained then goes to war knows that God and only He knows what's in store. And all the loved ones can take comfort in the fact that every soldier over there believes he's coming back. He will come It's not so long ago, you see, that you were holding on to me. Letting go is hard to know, but now I see the man you have become. A brand new chapter has begun. So fly away, don't stay away too long. Still I wonder when this war will end. Can freedom reign throughout their land? If you believe that, then I'll believe that too. I'm a soldier's mom, and I'll believe for you. I'm a soldier's mom, and I'll be strong for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless our troops.
A soldier's mom. I know how it is to have a mother who really loves their child. And I can tell that you love your son.
Yes, I do.
And that song is so passionate and so full of joy and memories and just true love. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. That's a beautiful piece.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to share it with you all.
All right. Well, Tina, we're going to have you go back over and join the band. And we're going to jam a little bit. Actually, Mr. Starr said he's going to sing for us as well. So we're going to bring him up shortly to do a little playing on the keys over there. And but we're going to do a little bit of a recap now and kind of talk a little bit about that bridging the generational gap. So, Alicia, how has it been during this show today?
It's been amazing to be able to sit and talk with Maurice Starr and pick his brain a little bit and get some information. It's been great. And for Miss Tina Stefanos to sing that beautiful song for us, what a great evening.
Now, we know that there are a lot of people out there, young and old, that are really trying to live their dream. This show is about allowing people that opportunity. We want to give those who are in the arts a chance to showcase their talents. Not only just showcase their talents, but tell a message. Just like today, Tina told a message through her song. And Mr. Starr gave us a message through his words. We want to make sure that every single thing that we do in life is worth living for. And that's what this show is about. It's doing things that's worth living. And if you have that talent or you are searching for that opportunity to display that talent or to put it out there, definitely contact our show. That is Mark Lee Wright TV show, and you can reach me via Facebook, and then you can also reach us at mwright@shoutentertainment.org. So reach out to us, let us know your story, let us know what's going on in your community, and we would love to have you here on our show. That is my wrap for tonight. All right. We are going to put our attention over here on the piano, and Mr. Starr is going to close us out.
Think you heard me. If you're feeling all right, let me hear you say